two important but rather underused aspects of Zoho Sales IQ, namely the canned messages that allow you to interact more efficiently on chat conversations with your visitors, as well as the business as configuration that allows you to control how your chat widget behaves on the website based on your office working hours. So simple as that sounds, there are a lot of other capabilities and features that are hidden inside these that are not often used by most customers. Our objective here is to make sure that people learn about those capabilities and start using them. So I have a few slides prepared for you here, and I will be going over them. And once I'm done, I will be taking questions towards the end. But you can keep sending your questions through the chat system that you have on your webinar session. The questions will keep coming in. Once the session concludes, I will be answering them one by one. The questions that you ask will be private, but when I answer them, the question and my response will both be publicly viewable. So that way, it's possible for me to answer one question once instead of answering it individually to different people. It also allows you to see my responses and, if necessary, take a snapshot of them. And at any point of time during the session, if you notice anything important on the screen, any demonstration that I'm making, feel free to take a snapshot of that. That said, for those of you who cannot join today, or if you think some of your colleagues should watch this as well, don't worry, we are recording this webinar session, although it's just going to be done live once just today. The recorded copy will be made available on YouTube for you guys to watch it again later or pass it around. But of course, it will have to be cleaned up and edited, so give us a week and it should be up. So don't worry about the recorded copy. So getting back to Sales IQ, I'm sure that most of you are already using the live chat widget. And if you're not, I think it's a very good idea to start using them. Of course, the common argument that's made is I don't have the staff to answer that many conversations. But you seem to miss the point. You don't have to answer the chats live all the time. And if you want to answer them live, you don't have to be hooked to your computer all the time. SalesIQ does offer a free mobile app which will alert you on your mobile device or tablet whenever your new chat comes in. So, what's the major advantage of using the chat? It allows you to communicate with your website visitors instantly. If people have a doubt, they might hesitate to phone you or email you because the phone sometimes may not connect, or you may not be available, or the visitors might be shy and then think that it's too silly a doubt to bother you by calling you. The email system is rather too slow. The live chat is the opposite of both these things. It's usable instantly and it helps people to answer or ask even the most simplest of questions. So, for any person to answer or communicate with you on the live chat, I'll just show you a sample here. This is one of our demo websites, and you can see a chat window here. So, you can see visitors need to enter the name, their email address, and any other information that you want from them, and then the question. So, this information, the email address, the phone number, the name, and if you want any additional information like zip code, the products they are interested in, all these things are going to be collected and stored in Sales IQ and subsequently pushed into your Zoho CRM. So the chat capability actually allows you to generate more and more leads. If you do it on the phone, you need to manually enter them in Zoho CRM. That's going to take time. And if you get back to back calls, you may not remember to add all of them. Same works with emails too. You have to do it manually. And both of these would not work if you're a small business with limited people or you have a lot of traffic. Sales IQ does all of that automatically, creating a new lead, attaching this chat conversation with an existing lead if the person is already there in your CRM, and so on. So, all these capabilities are given to you through the chat window, and it allows you to generate a lot of new leads that you wouldn't otherwise know of. So, it makes sense to talk about features like the canned messages and the business hours that allow you to use these systems more efficiently. So that's what we're going to look at very briefly today. So that's going to be the topic for our discussion. So it's not just canned messages that you can store and use and reuse again and again, but it's also how to make them more personalized so it doesn't sound too robotic. It should sound humane, as they would say. It should appear to come from a human, and that will help people better, because if they suspect that you're a bot or an artificial intelligence system, most people don't respond to those chats because those systems are not matured enough to understand different human questions and answer them like a human would. So that's one problem. And of course, you cannot be available on chat all the time, and you don't want to be disturbed at odd hours. So how do you use business hours, and how do you make sure that you don't miss communication from different people when you're not around in the office? So those are the two things that we're going to see in a bit of detail today. So what exactly are we going to see related to these topics? The first one, of course, obviously, is what are canned messages? How can we use them on a day to day basis? There are different ways and different places you can use them inside SalesIQ. We're going to look at them. And how do you make those canned messages? Uh, how do you structure them in such a way that it's dynamic? That is, when a person comes in the chat, you want to wish them good morning or good afternoon or good evening. But it's difficult to type that each time. But you know you have to type that each time. So is it possible to use a canned message that sort of adapts itself to the time of the day based on the clock? Yes, that's possible. There are many other such dynamically changing canned messages that take in inputs and accordingly change. So we're going to look at all of them and how to use them. So that's the second topic. The third topic, of course, is what we discussed just now, how to use dynamic text in your automated messages. So there are different ways through which you can use them, like we discussed, and we're going to look at all of them and see how exactly you deploy them. Because if you don't deploy them correctly, there's a very good chance that it comes off as a typo. We don't want that. So we're going to show you what kind of customization possibility exists and how to use them. And this, of course, deals with the business hours capability. So we're going to look at how we're going to restrict its availability based on your office's business hours. And while you're away outside your business hours, or if it's a weekend or something, you want to communicate certain things to your people. For example, if it's an emergency, please dial this number. Or when they leave a message for you outside your business hours, you need to sort of set an expectation as to when they can expect a response from you. So that's another thing that we can look at, because some people expect a more instantaneous response. They don't know if you're just your staff are just busy, or they've just stepped out for a break or recess, or whether they've left for the day. They don't know that, especially if your business is spread out in different time zones, even within the U.S., where a difference of about 1 hour between different time zones will get people confused. And if your business operates internationally, in across many countries, then it's going to be more of a trouble. So you're going to have to let people know when you're available. So so that if they want to talk to you live, they can come back and try the next day. So those things, those kind of messages that we show under different circumstances, we're going to take a look at them. So I'm going to show certain things on our demo account so you know how to operate it on your own account. So canned responses. Like we've been speaking, you would have noticed on any chat conversation when you're speaking to somebody, So let's just give you an example here. I'm just going to, start a test chat here. Just going to use a dummy email address here. Choose any team here and start a chat. So the reason I'm doing this is to show you live as to how it's possible to use the canned messages during a conversation. It's much better than using it or displaying it on a slide. So that's what we're going to look at. And so you can see this message here on this banner that says something like, please wait while we connect you to our next available staff. So what this does is it sort of tells people what's happening while the chat is connecting to them, and it sort of explains the situation so that people know what they are looking for while they're waiting. So that's an important thing. So we have some connection issues here in the Wi-Fi connection. So yeah, chat came in a little day late. So we're connected here. So you can see a welcome message was automatically sent. I didn't type anything, but the welcome message was already sent to the visitor automatically. And the visitor sees this message as coming from me. So how do we set this welcome message up? I will show that to you later. So let's say this person wants to, ask for some help. They just ask for a price, the price of certain products or things like that. Normally what you do is, you type out the response like this. So as you can see, even if you type fast, it's going to take time to send it. But imagine if you're going to answer multiple people on this chat window, multiple customers at the same time. It's not possible for you to come or go to every window, click them, and chat with people. So that's inefficient. It's going to take time. So this is where canned messages come into play. So what do I do here? I just use the keyboard shortcut asterisk, and as soon as I do that, I can see every single canned message that's already available here. But of course, it's going to take time for you to go through all of them. So what do? We just type the first two or three letters of the message that you want to send to the visitor. So I just typed pricing, the first three letters of pricing. You can see a canned message that matches it already listed. So I just click that. And if I want to make any modifications to it, I just enter that and I press enter. So I don't have to go and fetch this URL from somewhere else. I don't have to type the rest of the content. It's already here. I just have to use the asterisk symbol to fetch the canned messages. So if you ever forget what the symbol is, don't worry, it's always listed at the bottom. You can see this highlighted message. It's always going to be there at the bottom, prompting you how to get the canned message. So here you can see how the message that I sent to the visitor is clearly displayed here. So that solves the problem. So I've shown you how to use a canned message. Now, how do you add all these messages? You might ask, where do these messages come from? How do I put them in? So it's simple. On the left pane here, you can see an entire section called canned messages devoted exclusively for this. So you're just going to click that. In your case, of course, this page will be empty and it will prompt you to add your first canned message. But in my case, I've already added quite a few, so the screen would look a little different here. If you ever have any questions or some doubts or something, you can just click this Learn More button here, and that's going to show you all the messages related to all the steps related to canned messages. So we'll come back to that. So I've added some canned messages. Yeah, I'll show you how to add one from the beginning. As soon as you're on this page, you can click this button here on the top right corner, add, and you're going to see the screen. So what am I going to do here? So this is the message that I'm just going to put in here. It's simple, just a single line. You can decide whether this message is relevant for everybody in your company, all the teams. In this case, of course, we have two different teams, sales and tech support. The tech support guys aren't going to answer questions like these related to pricing. That's usually what the sales team does. And even if a customer accidentally goes to the tech support team, there exists an option to transfer those chats to people in the sales team. So eventually, all these questions are going to be answered in the sales team. So I'm going to restrict that to just the sales team. And you can put this under different categories just so that it's easy for you to differentiate one. Everything related to pricing, costs, and all of that, you can put them under one section. If you have different products, let's say one related to mobile devices, you can just call the section mobile devices. Everything related to that will be listed there. If you have another category of products that relate to tablets and PCs, you can put a separate category there. So all the messages that people would use in a conversation related to tablets and PCs can be put there. So it's easy for you to search through them and edit them, modify them as necessary. So you've chosen all of them. If you don't find your categories listed here, of course, you can click this add new to add a completely new category. And of course, the dynamic text suggestions are listed here, but we will come back to that later. We're just starting with the basics. So I'm just saving this now. Okay, let's just choose this and save it. So you can see the banner here that says it's been added successfully. So I go back to this chat and here I am. So I type the asterisk key again. This time I type, say, the first three letters. Oh, I think it's $100. Right, let's just refresh the page because it's an ongoing chat conversation. So once you type the asterisk key, you will be able to see that message listed here. Any message that you want to send to the visitor, you will be able to see all of them listed here. So you can even scroll through them and answer them, or you can simply type the first few letters and press enter. If you don't have to make any modifications, press send. So you can see two lines of text were sent in under 1 second, and the customer got it instantly. So there's no waiting time involved, nothing else that need to be done. So it's pretty simple that way to use. So that is the entire objective of canned messages. It's simple and it's efficient. It helps you speed up the process of responding to customers. Frequently used phrases that you use over and over again in conversations often, you can save them as a template in canned messages and recall them whenever necessary using a shortcut instead of typing them again and again each time. So that's canned messages in a brief. So we've seen how to add canned messages. So now we're going to look at how to make it or structure it in such a way that it appears to have definitely come from a human. So you're looking at this example here where we have highlighted this thing which says good afternoon. So the person is just typing GOO, but it automatically says good afternoon there. So these messages are useful when you're greeting somebody and you want the time of the day to be factored in. So what you do is you set up a canned message, but this time you use what's called a dynamic text. Like the name suggests, it dynamically changes based on the situation. If it's related to time, then yes, it changes according to the time. If it's based on something else, it will change accordingly. It'll be better if I explain to you with an example, so that's what I'm going to do. So you go back to canned messages, and we'll add a new one now. Okay. So let's say the most commonly requested dynamic canned messages. I want to make this greeting personalized in such a way that when somebody messages me on chat, I want to hail them by their name or wish them by their name and invite them or wish them a good morning or something like that. I want to use their name automatically. Normally, what you do is you see the name of the visitor and you manually type that. But like we already discussed, that's not efficient. So, how do you make canned messages automatically do that for you? That's where dynamic text comes into play. So you can see several suggestions here. Some of them are listed here. The first one is the visitor's name. If you use that text visitor dot name, it will automatically convert to the visitor's name. And if you use the attender's name, that is the name of the agent who's answering the chat, then that will automatically replace this sort of code or formula with the agent's name. So if my name is Chris, I just put hi, this is attendant name, how can I help you? But when the customer receives it, it will change to hi, this is Chris, how can I help you? So we'll just look at one suggestion. There are actually many dynamic texts that you can use. You just have to go to SalesIQ's help page, type the word dynamic in the search box, and the first result is for dynamic text. So you can see all of them listed here. So we're just going to look at one simple thing there. So hello, and now you type the percentage symbol and you can see all of them listed here. So I'm just going to choose the first one, that is the visitor's name, and continue the message. So how can I help you today? And save. Okay. So let me end this chat. All right. Let me refresh this one as well. So I'm just going to start another chat. And this time we're going to look at how we can use the other canned messages. So of course, you can see here the canned message that we typed earlier at hello percentage attender dot name percentage how can I help you. In fact, if you don't believe me, I'll just go back and show that to you. Where is that? There you go. Okay, so it's here, sorry. So it says hello visitor dot name how can I help you today. This is what I set up. But during the chat conversation, you can see how it dynamically changes by replacing it with the name of the visitor that's visible here. So now I'm just going to click this and press enter. You can see the message is received by the visitor. So when the visitor sees it, it's going to see John Doe, his name, or whatever other text that you use. So this is just one example. There are so many other things that you can do. For example, how is the weather today in so if I do this, what happens is this is for the time. So we would need the city's name. Yes. So when this message is sent to the visitor, it's automatically replaced with the city name from which the visitor is from. So if the visitor is from New York, for example, or London, when this message is sent, it's going to appear as how is the weather today in New York or London. Sometimes you want to say good, sorry, good now, smart time now. So what happens is instead of smart time now, it replaces it with the time of the day, depending on the clock. So if it's in the morning, it's going to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening. How can we help you? So it's done automatically. So this way you don't have to edit a canned message each time and add the word morning or afternoon or noon manually each time. So that's not what you're going to do. This dynamic text allows you to use different things based on the time of the day automatically. So it's efficient that way. You have so many other things that you can use. For example, this. So when you send this to the visitor, it's automatically going to replace it with my email address that I have on SalesIQ. So instead of me typing that out each time, it's going to autofill that. So when you have a large number of staff, you can have a generic message like this, and each one can confidently send a canned message like this, knowing that this attender.email code will be replaced with their own email address. So different staffs sending this detail to different clients they're speaking to give them a way to reach out to them later, they can use these texts. So different things that you as an administrator can save. And remember that a canned message can also be added by an agent because not every time an administrator would remember or would know which would be appropriate canned messages to use. So we also allow agents to add their own canned messages at any time. So using these changing texts that dynamically change based on the situation or the name and all of that, you can make your chat messages appear to be certainly coming from a human. Because I can tell you from my own experience, the customers who interact with our support team most often ask in their first question whether we are humans. So that's funny, but that is the level of importance that people attach to speaking to another human. If they find out it's a bot, they disconnect the chat conversation right away. We have seen that because bots have not matured. Even though many companies use fancy terms like artificial intelligence, these bots are nowhere near that. So, for you to prove that you're a human and at the same time be fast and efficient, dynamic canned messages are very useful to you. So, what else can you do with canned messages? We have seen in our previous webinar sessions earlier as to how it's possible for you to set up automated texts uh, to visitors based on different conditions. So if somebody spends a lot of time on a certain page, you can automatically send them a message. For example, let me cancel this and go to settings, automation, intelligent triggers. So here what happens is you can set up a message to automatically target your website visitors. You need to choose the option send chat invite from the drop down, and here you can use something like smart time now. There you go. So I can now set a time delay of say 90 seconds. So what happens is everybody who's on your page or on your website for more than 90 seconds will get this message. So this automatically converts into good afternoon or good morning. Do you have any questions for me? If you want to make it more targeted, you can also choose the URL they're on, and you can just go to your website, copy whichever URL you want this message to be sent to, and paste that here. So what happens is anybody who's on this URL alone for more than 90 seconds get this message that you set up. So again, here it's personalized, and when the message pops up, it pops up with your company name, your image, and all of that. So it's definitely personalized, and it conveys that this person who were messaged you did that on their own initiative. So that is how you can send personalized messages with your to your website visitors. So there are lots of other things that you can do. All the dynamic text that we went over earlier um, are here. So here's something that you can talk about. So this is one example. So let's just assume somebody is on your pricing page and they are looking at it for more than 2 or 3 minutes. So you can use this canned dynamic text called visitor page title. So what happens is it detects the name of the page that the visitor is on, in this case the pricing page, and it substitutes that in the text here. So when the visitor gets this message from you automatically without you doing it, they're going to see this. I see you're on SalesIQ pricing page. We do offer special discounts for bulk orders. So it's automated. So when somebody is looking at that page and they think that it's expensive and they're mulling their options, thinking about their competitors and all of that, the chat window just pops up like this and delivers whatever message that you want them to see. So now they realize that you guys actually offer a discount, and they actually respond to you, asking you more questions. And even if they don't buy anything right away, you have their email address because they've responded to you. You can have your sales team contact them later to follow up. So it's useful that way. So there are lots of other possibilities that you can use. Just use the percentage simple, go over them, and you can explore them. So next we go to the business now section, which is pretty brief. So we'll go over them. You have been to several shops where you see this board which says whether the shop is open or closed. But when people visit virtually to your website, we do offer the capability to convey similar message to visitors so they know you're not around and that the shop or the website is closed for online or live chats. So So what this feature allows you to do is it allows you to configure your office working hours. And like the message says, it allows the chat widget go offline automatically. So even if you get engrossed in a phone call or a meeting or something and forget to sign out, uh, the chat window will automatically log out in time for you without any input. And it's going to do that for the entire company, all the staffs that are logged in. So what that means is you won't have visitors starting a chat, but with nobody available to answer them in your company because they've all left forgetting to sign out. So that's what we do in this business hours section. I'm just going to show you where to find that. Let me get this out of the way. So you do that under settings, company. So remember settings, company. You need to scroll down to the bottom where it says business hours. So you enable it by using this option, this slider on the right. And once it's green, you can see that the days of the week are marked here as well as the time of the day. So this is the time of the day. 0 is midnight and it goes all the way down to um, 11 p.m. So let's just say you're working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, 6 p.m. in this case, from Monday to Thursday. But on Fridays alone, you start at 9 a.m. and you end an hour early. Saturday, you just work for 3 hours. Okay, let's make it 1 o'clock. It's better. So there you go. So Monday to Thursday, your chat widget is going to be available automatically from 9 a.m., provided at least one person is logged in, and it will log them out automatically at 6 p.m. like we are chosen here, it says here. So Monday to Thursday. Friday, you want your guys to leave home early, so you close the shop an hour early, so reduce the time by an hour. And Saturday, you're going to work only for a few hours, half a day. So I've marked that here as well. So you mark this on the calendar and you save it. The chat widget is automatically going to go offline. And if you want to change this time later, you can just click any one of these blocks, press the delete button on your keyboard, and that's gone. You want to correct the time, you just drag and drop. You're done. It's as simple as that. So just press save, it's automatically going to be saved. But since we're in a different time zone, I won't be able to demonstrate this to you. But what this does is instead of you having to manually sign out from here, the system does that automatically every day of the week. It's going to do that for all your staff. So even though you may be logged in and available, let me cancel this. Even though you may be logged in and you might make those changes correctly, you cannot bank on your other staff members doing the same thing. They might forget. So you don't want the chats to be coming in ringing with nobody available to answer them. So what happens here is, let me just refresh. So you can see as soon as I refreshed it, now it says leave a message for us. It's offline. So you can customize the message that's displayed here, anything that you want. And if you open it, you can see it says you're offline and people can leave a message for you. So it's pretty straightforward that way. It's very easy to configure and it's done under settings, company, like it shows here. So there are situations where with a large company you might get way too many messages outside your business hours and you just don't have the staff to answer all of them. So you might think it would be a better option to keep the chat widget hidden outside your business hours. So you just don't want it to go offline like this, displaying an offline message. You want it to completely disappear from your website. Is that possible? Yes, that's possible. So you go back to settings company, you scroll down to the bottom. Just below this chart where you marked your business hours, there's an option that says I chat widget outside business hours. In my case, it remains turned off. In yours, you can turn it on. So once you turn it on, outside those business hours, the chat widget is hidden. So if people can't see them, they cannot leave any messages for you. It's as simple as that. So you can try that if you're getting a lot of traffic. If not, we recommend that you keep it offline because it's going to let you collect visitor data. Everybody who leaves a message for you, it's similar to a voicemail system. You're going to have them all added to your CRM automatically. So there's a way for you to follow up with those people. You don't want them to go to your competitor's website and purchase something or buy something. You want to retain the ability to contact them later. So mostly we recommend that you keep the chat widget visible even outside your working hours. So apart from simply telling visitors that you're offline, that you're not available, you can also tell them other things like, when is the best time to contact you, when are you normally available, or if they leave a message for you, when can they expect a response from you, and all of that. All those things can be conveyed on the chat window itself. So here's a sample of the same chat window that you have here, but with a different message. So it says something like this: sorry, we're closed for the day. Please leave us a message and we will get back within a business day. So here the person knows that you will get back to them within one business day. If it's a weekend, they know that you're going to get back to them on Monday. It's explanatory. So this is useful because it sets an expectation. People wouldn't be waiting for something that's not going to come to them. So it's useful. So where do you set those up? In that case, you go to settings, you go to web embed here on the top, and you choose the embed that's on the website. So depending on which website you have, you need to generate additional web embeds. So one embed is for one website. So this is the one that we have on the trial website. So I'm going to go here, and here on the top you can see the welcome message. Hello, welcome to Zilker and all of that. This is what the visitors automatically get as soon as the chat begins. Remember, I told you earlier that I will be coming back to that. So this message is automatically sent as soon as the chat begins without you having to type anything. This also buys a few seconds for your users or your agents to actually read the customer's information, check out their CRM data here, and be ready with the answer even before the question can be sent by the visitor. So once you do that, you can click configure messages here and you can set all of them up. So when all the users are offline, this is the message that you can show to the visitors. This is what we have here. So whatever the time, whatever you want to show them, if you want to say we're available only from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., you can type that as well. And once people read this message and leave a message for you, this is what they will get. Something like, thank you for your message. Thank you for contacting us. You can also have a similar banner displayed to people when all your staff are busy with multiple chats. There's just no room for them to answer another chat. So here you can say something like, we are all currently busy. Please do stick around. We will answer you soon. And this is the message that people see when the chat was started. Remember, I showed that to you in the very beginning. When the start chat button is pressed and the counter kicks in, you can see the entire thing here. So all these are useful, and all these convey a good impression of professionalism to your customers because it sets the right expectations. So you can check out all these things here. Just click learn more on the web embed page, and it tells you everything about what you can do, what each of these messages mean, and how to edit them, and so on. So just hover here, press edit, type the message, press save or cancel. It's simple as that. So we have seen all of that, and please send me your questions now. I'm sorry I'm about 5 minutes over time, but I hope it was useful to all of you guys. Two underutilized features of SalesIQ. So please send in your questions. I will be answering them one by one. Thank you so much for joining us today.